Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman, and I just come on to do a video concerning Scapegoat Theology. And I was reading the book Greek Cults, and I came upon a Ionian Apollo Greek scapegoat ritual where they take two guys and they feed them, and then they lead them out of the city, or force them, or chase them out of the city, which is pretty interesting. Scapegoat theology goes way back, way back, to, I believe, Hittites and before. No, the Hebrews did it, definitely. And in ancient Near Eastern texts relating to the Old Testament, there's a translation of a Hittite text that used the scapegoat ritual to rid themselves of a plague. And so I tried to find more information. My buddy gave me an article on it at one point. But Burkert, I found out, has a book out. It's called Structure and History in Greek Mythology and Ritual. It's different from the Greek religion book that I read. I don't have this book, but it's on Google, and that chapter is on Google Books. So some of you may be able to go on and read that. So please do that. I'll post a link below. Burkert is awesome, and he knows what he's talking about. So this scapegoat theology was known to the Greeks. And at this festival, they would have driving them out, the impurities to make the city sacred and ensure a good harvest. This festival happened around May. So they would have all kinds of stuff going on, choir contests. The Athenians used to send in sacrificial items and choirs to participate in the contest to Apollo, and then whoever won would donate a tripod to the temple of Apollo. So pagans were very familiar with these festivals, because even though each city-state or polis would have different festivals for their own kind of Apollo deity and different gods, some of these festivals would align in the calendar, so they would participate in them together. So they would stop war. So war was forbidden to take place, and I believe that the Spartans were late into the battle marathon because one of these festivals were going on. So all this in context to the New Testament idea, the New Testament Greco-Roman Jewish idea of Christ being some kind of scapegoat, especially out of Judaism, where one goat is dedicated to Yahweh, the other goat to Azazel. Look that up. That's a really interesting ritual. It's in the biblical literature. The goat to Yahweh is sacrificed. The goat to Azazel is driven out into the desert. And I got thinking about the parallel, and being that pagans used the scapegoat motif to apply to Christ later in the theology and the telling of that story, maybe this played into that because of the audience that they were writing to. Barabbas is released, Christ is sacrificed. So it's pretty interesting. So you have two, and the one is driven out, or the one is driven out and sacrificed. Very interesting. So I don't know if any of that, well, definitely that came into play. The theology definitely did later. And if I was a pagan and somebody was telling me that, if Paul came up to me and preached that to me, the scapegoat theology, I would be already familiar with the cult of Apollo. And I would say, I know that because I was in the choir contest. And we won that year. And we donated a tripod to Apollo. Where do I sign up? It's very familiar. And just like I've been saying all along, these groups take different rituals, different sorts of theological ideas, combine them, reprocess them, and reformat them and hand them back in a different way. But in reality, the base is pretty much the same. So it's very interesting. So take a look at this link that I'm going to post. Give you some homework, huh? And there's no such thing. It's pure culture. And remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.